So, in 7, 8, 9, and 10, you have to take what you know about the congruent triangles to find the missing pieces. So, in number 7, it says that triangle ITP is congruent to NGO. So, what's I congruent to? N. So, I has one rainbow, N has one rainbow. T has 2. Who else has 2? G. And then P, you can put 3, and O has 3. Okay, let's put our dashes. IT is congruent to what? NG, so I'm going to put 1 on both of them. TP is congruent to GO, and then the last one's congruent to this one. Okay, so you know which angles and sides are congruent. Now find the values of x and y. Well, if you look at NG, you have x minus 2y. We can't solve for both of those variables without knowing one of them. So where's y? At angle what? O, do you see it? Y is by itself at angle O. Well, what's angle O congruent to? P. So to solve for y, I can set these two angles equal to each other. So set 6y minus 14 equal to 40 and solve for y. Solve for y. You add 14, which gives you 54.
Y equals 9.
And then y divided, 54 divided by 6 is 9. Okay, so now we have y. So we can use segment NG and plug in 9 to solve for x. So what is NG congruent to? IT it, which is 7.5. So you have x minus 2y equals 7.5. Except for we want to plug in y, which we found to be 9. So you have x minus 2 times 9 equals 7.5. So then 2 times 9 is 18. Add 18, and what do you get? 25.5. I'm so proud. Okay, so you're going to use what you learned yesterday about where to put rainbows and dashes to solve for each part. Okay, well, let's look at this one real quick. Let's set this one up, and then I'm going to let you solve it. F is congruent to H, but here's what's happening. This angle right here, where it's 35 degrees, I could name this JHF, right? Right. JHF. I can't just say angle H because there's two parts to this angle, Parker. So I can't just say angle H. So if I said angle JHF is congruent to, go backwards, it's congruent to angle GFH. So which angle is that? This one. So these two are congruent, which in return means these two are congruent. Thank you. And what's J congruent to? G. Good. So 3 and 3. Now you set up the sides and solve for x and y. You set up the sides and then solve for x. Okay. So let's talk about what y'all got. So we set our angles equal, right? So I could have just gone ahead and solved for x because I know this angle is congruent to this angle. So you have 6x plus 8 equals what? 35. So subtract 8 from 35 and what do you get? 27?
Yeah.
So what's x equal to?
4.5.
Huh? 4.5?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the angle that we just solved for. Now you have to solve for the sides. Well, look at the side, at the congruent statement. FH, which is the first two, is congruent to the first two over here. So FH is congruent to HF. Well, isn't that just the same line? That's the same line. It's used for both triangles. Well, HJ, which is second and third, is congruent to FG. So HJ, which is right here, is congruent to this one. And then first and last, FJ, which is this one, is congruent to GH. So to solve for y, 2y minus 3 equals 2.5. Add 3. What do you get when you add 3? 0.5?
5.5. I got 5.
Oh, 5.5. And then divide by 2 and you get 2.75. Okay. Try 9 and 10. Is it pulling up? Try 9 and 10. I would put your rainbows and dashes first if I were you. Hey.
Okay, I know how to do the rainbows, but I don't know how to do the text.
Okay, so PQ, 1 and 2. Just take the first two letters. PQ is congruent to the first two on the second one. So I put 1 dash on PQ and 1 dash on the one. Good? But do you need dashes on this one? Well, what are you finding? And is that an angle or a side? Huh? Yes, they're not equal. That's plus 35. Let me see your calculator. Yes, that's right. But I don't know that your reasoning of how you got it is right. I would check that one. I did. Cordell, are you done? Are you done?
No, I mean I had it.
Okay. Huh? Then do it and try it without talking more. Like this. Do you know why? So you have to copy that. Chris Burks, are you done? Then why are you turning around talking? Okay, well, what do you do if you don't understand? Okay, so why is that not understood? Like, you didn't raise your hand. And guess what? There's people around the way. Okay. Angle P is the first one. It's congruent to the first one over here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
What up?
Sorry. Because we lost. I said there. See this?
Hey, Jalen. Okay, so you know these two, right? So you can find this third one. Well, the third one is congruent to this. So whenever that third angle is, 180 minus 90 minus 35. Okay. Okay, so you put your rainbows. Okay, so look at this triangle. There's two angles, and you're missing a third one. Do you know how to find the third angle? Well, don't set them equal, but you start with 180 and subtract these two. Well, you set up your rainbows. If you find this third angle, it's the same as this one. All right, guys, let's go over these. So, I told you that you might want to start by putting your rainbows on number 9. So, the first letter is what? And it's congruent to M. Doesn't that make sense? They're both 90 degrees. Okay, now second we have Q is congruent to N. So, Q and N are congruent. And then R is congruent to R, which means this angle is congruent to this angle. Well, there's two ways you can go about this. You know that this angle is 35, so you could write 35 right here. And then a triangle always equal how many degrees? 180. So if you start with 180 and you subtract the two you do know, which is 90 and 35, you get that your answer should be 55. You could also go about this a different way. Find this angle right here. 180 minus 90 minus 35 tells you that this angle is 55. Well, this angle has the same amount of rainbows as this angle, so they're congruent. Yeah, you can because this is taking away 90. So 180 minus 90 minus 35 will give you the same thing as just 90 minus 35. Okay, number 10. Do we need rainbows? Not really, but what do you need? Dashes. So, what is AB congruent to?
AD.
AD. Well, I'm done because I just had to find Y. So, AD is congruent to AB, which means 3Y is equal to 21 and Y is equal to 7.
I did that. How you get that? Oh, 3 times.
Madison, do you see the struggle I go through?
What you trying to say, Music?